Welcome, shooters and collectors, to another edition of Side by Side. Today we're going to be taking a look at a rather unique firearm, and that is the Walther Q5 Match SF with the Expert trigger. And I don't believe this gun was ever offered in the United States. And to order it in Germany, I believe you get it directly from the company. You order directly from them, and it comes from like their Meister work, or I think it's called Meister Manufaktur. They have like a workshop there, and they would build the gun to your specs. So I would like to first go over the manuals. And I know manuals can be kind of boring, but I found these kind of interesting. As first, Walther bothered to actually make color photos of it, which is kind of nice. You never see that in the manual. And then the second thing is Walther goes beyond the typical, field stripping and whatnot. They really go into detail on how to take things apart and what tools to use. Like here it says use a 10mm open wrench. And the other thing I really liked about this manual is it shows you exactly where you need to lubricate the firearm. And I've noticed that like in a lot of manuals, they don't bother to do that. And here it's really nice that they do. They tell you exactly what, put a drop of lubricant on the safety plunger and the disconnector, apply a light film of high quality gun lubricant on all external surfaces, put it on the trigger bar and locking cams and all of that. The other thing it shows you is how to adjust the trigger brake. And then I'm going to show you quickly the Expert trigger manual as well. And it goes into detail on how to adjust the trigger. So it shows on the Q5 Expert trigger, you can adjust the trigger shoe. You can they offer a flat one or a curved one, and they offer various lengths of it too. They still offer that on their website in Germany. And then you can adjust the pre-travel, and you can adjust the trigger stop. Yeah, and then you can adjust the trigger brake. What I found kind of funny about that is they say the sear engagement is set at the factory and should not be altered. Any changes to the sear will break a seal. The owner will no longer be entitled to free adjustment at the factory. But then, and I guess they figure, and I'm guilty of this as well, they figure everybody's going to tinker with it anyway, so they go ahead and they give you instructions on how to properly adjust the sear so you do a good job of it. And then they tell you, yes, you'll need a 1.5mm hexagonal wrench, and then do a safety check. And then, be careful with how you do it, because you don't want accidental firings, things like that. Take it to a qualified gunsmith. And then they actually tell you, whoever wrote this, technical writing, did a great job, because not only do they tell you how to do it, but they even tell you how to hold the gun. Because usually a lot of times it's there's a technique to take something apart and get it back together. And then they tell you, applying light forward pressure on the sear with your weak hand thumb toward the magazine well and downward in the sear housing assembly. So you know exactly how you need to be holding it while you're adjusting and everything. So I think that's great, and I really like to give them a lot of credit for these nice manuals that they have. So without further ado, here's the pistol itself. It's like I said, it's a Q5 match steel frame. It's fairly hefty. It's about 46 ounces empty. It comes with 3 magazines and 3 red dot adapters and 2 triggers. Currently installed the flat one, then here is the curved one here. And like I said, you can order different lengths of these triggers as well. I'll go ahead and show you the trigger pull. I do have no, I don't have my snap cap went somewhere. Where did it go? Let me find it real quick. Here it is. So I have a snap cap, and in the manual it says to use a snap cap when you're dry firing it. So be sure to do that. So here is the trigger here, and before it had a lot of pre-travel and I took it out, but before the trigger was pretty much like right in here. It's pretty far forward. So I took it out, and it's really short now. You can see there's the wall right there, and that's it. I'll do it again. That's it. Yeah. When you compare this gun to like other manufacturers, say, especially German ones, SIG, SIG doesn't manufacture pistols anymore in Germany, but let's just pretend they did. Or say the American counterpart, I think the 320X or the HK VP9 match. There's just no comparison. Walther just beats them so so easily with this gun. However, these guns are also very expensive. The Q5 Match SF with the trigger, I think it ran about 2,100 euros, 2,100 euros, somewhere in that area. with the dynamic trigger on it, which is the blade like the Glock has, is around, I think, 1,800. And then if you want to, you could also buy this trigger from their website. And this trigger alone with the sear cage, or whatever you want to call it, it's 500 euros. So very pricey, very, very pricey. So, it's sort of an apples and oranges because, for that kind of money, you can, but there's a lot of other options out there that shoot great too. So it is not an inexpensive pistol. So if you do really want to go after one of these, be prepared to know that you're going to have to pay a lot for it. Another feature I really like about this pistol is the slide release. And Walther, on their P88 Competition and Champion, they had a slide release that was also very easy to manipulate. You can hit it without having to shift the grip. A lot of times you got to sort of shift the grip to hit the slide release, but it comes back really nice and long. It's just very easy to manipulate. And also with this, the cutout metal here, if somebody ever wanted to offer an aftermarket one, they could extend it out all the way back here. So if you do have short thumbs, you would be able to hit it there as well. I guess the last thing I'm going to show you here is the trigger weight. And my friend years ago, he had a Glock and he wanted to improve the trigger. And I don't know if he got like an Apex trigger, and he got some other springs and stuff. And he put it all together. We went to the range and he just kept having light primer strikes. And with this pistol, I've never experienced anything like that. It is good to go, which for the money, it should be. But it's nice that, you get the gun in and it's just good to go. You don't have to start doing upgrades to bring it up to snuff. And then before you know it, you own a $2,200 Glock. It's like, oh my gosh, I should have just gone with this to begin with. And trying to sell that $2,200 Glock can be tough sometimes too, because people only want to pay you like $600 for it. So, all right, here we go. Oops, I did that too fast, but it says like 2.7. Let's see if that's what it is again. Yeah, about 2.9 that time. So like I said, it's got a really nice, phenomenal trigger. It feels great, and I would highly recommend one of these if you want a striker. If you want the finest striker fired pistol, this is probably it right here. That's my review for today. Thanks a lot. Have a good day.